Welcome to Algonquin Park, Ontario. I'm just gonna show you guys where I'm sitting really quick before we get into everything. Look how beautiful this is. There's my sister. Savannah, say hi! So I'm just sitting outside of our cottage right now. Look how gorgeous this is. This is Lake of Two Rivers in Algonquin Park. Yeah, it's really beautiful. All right, so today we're going to be talking about how to forgive. This is a question that came up a lot regarding my most recent IGTV video that I posted, and that video was all about why forgiveness is the number one thing holding you back from manifestation. And in the video I talked about essentially how forgiveness is the bridge from the old identity to the new one. When you're manifesting, it's really about moving into a different state of consciousness, because through your state of consciousness, all is created. So if you want to go and achieve a certain thing, then you have to imagine yourself in the place of already achieving it, which means you have to step into the identity of the person who has already achieved it, meaning you cannot keep holding on to the identity that you have now of yourself. You have to literally change your idea of who you are. And that also means letting go of the things that keep you tethered to who you are. And I think the biggest thing, a lot of us, we can okay, I can imagine myself in my amazing new career, right? That's easy to do. But the hard thing to do is to let go of the painful emotions that are still part of who you are, right? What happens when we get hurt, when we go through something traumatic and painful, is if those emotions aren't properly processed, aren't properly released, they stay stored as energy. Emotions are energy in very raw, pure form. So when you don't fail to heal properly or to forgive, those emotions stay trapped within your energetic field, right? And so they will continue to attract to you circumstances in your life that are going to reaffirm those emotions. Okay, so that's why forgiveness is so important. That's just a quick recap of the video I already posted, but today I want to talk to you specifically about how to forgive. And obviously this is a very personal process. I'm not I don't think we can say okay, you want to know how to forgive, here's steps 1, 2, and 3 right? But because it's hard to even define what is forgiveness. It's not a physical thing. It's really an emotional thing that we go through. It's a process that we go through, and I can only speak from my personal experience. So I want you guys to know that this is a topic very close to my heart. It's something that I had to learn in the last year of my life, over the last course of my life, because I went through something that hurt me very much in one of my close relationships. And what I'm going to outline for you today is kind of the process that I went through in my healing journey, and the steps that I took in order to fully forgive and fully release that. So forgiveness, in my eyes, is truly a decision. It's a decision that you make. And it's a decision that narrative, that story, that identity is not who you are anymore. That story does not define your future moving forward. Right, and we can kind of look at what has happened to us from a higher perspective, from a perspective of non-attachment. So it's a decision. However, this is a decision that takes some work to be able to make. And it's not a decision that we make only once. So that's why I kind of look at forgiveness as a decision that can happen in an instant, and also a process that we go through over time, because healing happens in a vortex, guys. It's you might come around to the same incident more than once and have to look at it, have to deal with it from a different perspective every time. This is how evolution happens, right? We're always continuously moving through new states of consciousness, moving through different layers of the hurt, because wounds also happen in layers. So we have to kind of continuously go through the different layers. We come back to the lessons over and over again and relearn them from different states of consciousness. So forgiveness is something that happens many, many times. When you say you've forgiven something, it doesn't mean that you're never going to be triggered again. However, I do believe there's a point that you get to where you can truly say, I have let that particular situation go. I have let that particular pain go, or I am not so emotionally attached to that anymore that I believe it's who I am. So that's kind of what I'm going to be helping you get to today, is that point of like initial release from whatever has happened. Okay, are we ready for this? Let's start getting into the individual steps. So the first step, and this is, again, speaking from my personal journey, was feel your feelings. And we hear this all the time, feel your feelings. But I mean actually designate time in your day. Like, tell yourself, I'm going to go home now, I'm going to sit in my room for an hour, and I'm going to cry. I am going to let whatever sadness, whatever pain, whatever resentment I still hold in my heart come forward, to come to the surface and be released. You know, so much of the time, we run from painful emotions. We think whenever we're like emotional, that something is wrong with us, and we need to stop feeling that as soon as possible. It's like, okay, I don't like this feeling. How do I get out of it? How do I distract myself? How do I make myself happy? And this, especially in spirituality, there's this whole concept of positive thinking. But no one can be positive all the time. And I also think it's really important that we let ourselves go to those dark places. You know, that we let ourselves feel the full scale of emotions that are available to us, but that we do it in a healthy way. So that means consciously taking the time, you know, setting time aside so that you can feel your feelings fully. Another thing you can do that's really great is write a letter. You know, let yourself really go off in this letter to the person that hurt you, and express every single thing that they made you feel. And then once you're finished, you can burn the letter. And it's really just a way of cleansing the energy. That's what we're doing, is we're clearing the energy. Understand that emotion is energy. So whenever emotion is not properly expressed, it will stay suppressed within your energetic body, within your energetic field. So when we allow ourselves this space, this time to truly feel our emotions, to accept what has happened in the present moment, that's a big thing, is like acceptance. Have you accepted what has happened to you and how it's made you feel, or are you trying to run from it? Are you trying to escape from it? Sometimes pain is not something to, actually I would argue that all the time, pain is not something to be escaped from. Pain serves a purpose, just the same way that joy and happiness do. Hold on guys, I'm sorry I'm talking right now, but I just really want to show you. We just got some visitors in our live today. Hello, duckies. The animals here are crazy. They really just come around all the time. They think I have food, probably. That's what they're doing. But yeah, as I was saying, it's coming into acceptance with the present moment. Becoming one with the present moment means really, acknowledging what life has brought to your doorstep, and knowing that this experience is happening for a reason, and that there's nowhere else you're meant to be other than right there in that pain. Okay, so that's the first thing. You bring your emotions to the surface so you can allow them to, when you cry, this is an energetic process. Your body does this on purpose. Your body is so intelligent that when you cry, you are releasing energy. When you scream, you are releasing energy. When you write, you are releasing energy. So all of these forms are very therapeutic, and they really help us to understand our own emotions, first of all, and to let them go. So that's why I would say really take some time. Guys, I took months to feel my feelings. Like whenever I would feel myself get triggered, I would go to a private place and I would cry about it. And I would let myself really be sad. But I would do it in a way where it was like very conscious. So it was like, okay, I'm gonna take this time now, from this time to this time, and I'm gonna let myself be as sad as possible. But then once that time stopped, I said, okay, now I'm gonna go back to my life and do what I need to do. Like I didn't let it take over me, but I let it happen in the way that it was meant to. I let it happen in a very conscious and healthy way. Guys. Sorry, I'm trying so hard to stay focused, but these little guys just came to visit. Okay. Now, the second step that I took in my forgiveness journey, and this is something I've talked about on my page before, and it's something that's so, so important, and this is the concept of taking responsibility. okay? Taking responsibility for the fact that this situation did not happen to you, it happened through you. What I mean by that is that no experience can be manifested, can be created around you if you are not vibrating on the frequency of that experience. You don't always get what you want. We know that. But you always get what you are. So taking responsibility is when you ask yourself, what level, what frequency was I vibrating on that caused me to attract this particular experience to myself? What was my soul trying to teach me that I was not learning, so it had to shock me into learning it? That's the only reason that painful experiences manifest, guys. It's because there's a lesson that's trying to be learned. There's something in your soul that is trying to be expressed. And if you don't learn it, it will shock you into learning it. It will hit you so hard. I heard this one analogy that was really beautiful and really spoke to me. It said that the light and the dark work together. In the higher realms, from a higher perspective, there is no separation, right? All is one. All is working towards one greater purpose. So your angels, your higher self will be trying to teach you things, trying to show you signs that something is, you're either on the right path or not on the right path. And if you aren't listening to your angels, to your guides, they will head over to the dark side, to the demons, as we call it, and say, hey, she's not paying attention here. You think you can help me out? And that's when they hit us with a painful experience. But understand that pain is not necessarily bad. This is the way that we learn. This is the way that we grow. You cannot have evolution without positive and negative charges. You cannot have creation without positive and negative charges. With the positive negative charges, all is manifested. So we need these two polarities in our life to keep us moving forward. But it's very crucial that we take that time to really ask ourselves, why did I attract this into my life? Why did I choose to experience this? Nothing happens outside of you. You are not the victim. You are the master. And that's why taking responsibility is really what encourages us to recognize ourselves as the master of our life, as the master of our circumstances. It's how we go from powerless to powerful in a situation that has really hurt us, right? It's, in my particular situation, it seemed like what had happened to me was completely out of my control. And I felt like I didn't deserve it at all. And I was really in this why me mindset. But my dad said to me, Sophia, why do you think you attracted this? And at that moment, I had to really turn inwards and ask myself, what level, what frequency was I vibrating on that this experience happened to be a vibrational match to me? Right? And this also ensures that moving forward, we can be more conscious of the frequency we're vibrating on so that we don't manifest the same situation over again. A lot of the times what we do is the opposite. It's like we hold on to the painful experience. We hold on to those painful emotions because we're like, okay, if I can remember how much this hurt me, then I'll make sure it never happens again. No. When you hold on to the painful emotions, it's the opposite effect that happens. Remember, you don't get what you want, you get what you are. So if you are still identified with victim mentality or with, that pain, that betrayal that happened to you, you're going to continue to attract more experiences that reaffirm that emotion, that reaffirm that vibration. So you have to acknowledge what it was that caused you to attract it in the first place, and then shift that around. Shift that whatever belief you were vibrating on, whatever thoughts you were currently thinking, or whatever feelings were most dominant in your life at the time, or just a few months prior to it happening, that caused this to happen. Now, I want to say something quickly about people who may have experienced trauma or pain as a child. Okay, you can say obviously this child didn't choose to experience this. Obviously it wasn't a vibrational match for the child. They weren't thinking negatively or feeling negative emotions, whatever. This is what I will say. You get to choose before you come into this physical experience, You get to choose what family you were born into and what experiences you are going to have. This is a planet of free will, and we all have a choice. And this might be something that is hard for some people to hear, especially at first, because we don't want to accept the fact that maybe we chose to have a particular painful situation happen to us. It's more comfortable to be the victim than it is to be the master. And to these people, I want to share a story with you. And this is a story that my dad shared with me. It's called The Story of Two Angels. So there were two angels that were in heaven, and they were best friends, and they loved each other so, so much. And they decided, hey, we're going to incarnate into the human form so we can experience all that, the physical reality has to offer, so that we can learn more lessons. Because truly, guys, what this is, when you come into the physical reality and you have that veil go over and you no longer recognize your infiniteness, your formlessness, it's a learning ground. It's like a test, and you can't pass the test if you already have the answers. So we have to have this veil of forgetfulness come over us. So they said, okay, we're going to go into the human experience. And one angel said to the other, I want to learn how to forgive. I want to learn the lesson of forgiveness. So I need you to do something for me. And the other angel goes, of course, anything. What can I do for you? And the other angel turns to its friend and says, I need you to betray me. And of course the angel is like, what? I could never. I couldn't possibly do that. And his friend goes, well, if not you, then who? Right? So I just want to encourage you to look at these things from almost like a heightened perspective, especially if this is a trauma or a pain that you experienced in childhood. Maybe you chose to experience that for a particular reason. Maybe there is a lesson that your soul wanted you to learn. In fact, I truly believe that it's our greatest lessons, our greatest hardships, and our greatest pains, which are also our greatest gifts and the things that we are meant to bring into this world. You came here to give and to receive, and I think those two things are entwined with one another. It's what you came here to learn that you also came here to give. And so this is when it takes a little bit of soul searching. It takes a little bit of self-reflection and really going within and asking yourself, why did I attract this? Why did I choose to have this experience? And this is how we reclaim our power, guys. This is how we recognize that this isn't something that happened outside of us. This isn't something that happened without our consent, without, making yourself essentially a victim to other people and other circumstances. No, this was your choice. And that is scary at first. However, when you come to full terms with and full acceptance with it, it is the most empowering thing that can happen to you. Recognizing that your worst is your responsibility, which means your best will also be your responsibility. Okay, so that's taking responsibility. The transition from victim to master. Okay, third step in healing that I cannot even begin to express to you how fundamental this practice has been in my healing. And I've talked about this so much before, but it's meditation. Like, when I say everyone in the world needs to meditate, I'm not just saying that, I mean it. Meditation I feel like I did more of my healing in 2 months than I did over a full 2 years of time. And it's because when you meditate, something happens within your body. So, how do I explain this? Okay, we all know you're either in fight or flight or you're in rest and repair. Now, 99% of the time, we're in fight or flight mode. I mean, we're constantly dealing with the stresses of everyday life. We're constantly dealing with deadlines and work and your boss and your family is triggering you. And, so much of the time we're in rest and repair, and we've actually been trained to be in this rest and repair mode through even the media. The media is specifically designed to create an emotional reaction within you. So we need to practice being in rest and repair mode, because what happens in rest and repair is your body starts to do the healing work for you. Your body is so incredibly intelligent that as soon as you transition into this state of being, your body will automatically begin to clear out all the toxins. And that's not just on a physical level, that is on an emotional level as well. Your body knows what to do. Your body knows how to clear energy for you without you even being consciously aware of this process. It's getting yourself into a state of total relaxation that is the issue. So when we meditate, what happens? For once, you have the opportunity to consciously disconnect from the outside environment, to disconnect from the triggers, right? Because that's where all the triggers are. They're in the outside environment. They're in people. They're in places. They're in circumstances and situations. So we have the opportunity to disconnect from all of that. Now, on top of that, we have the opportunity to disconnect from our self-identity. And our self-identity is really wrapped up in what has happened to us, in the painful thing that we've experienced. You know, like, I had to get to a point in my journey where I said, like, I am tired of being the girl who got betrayed. Like, I don't want to be that person anymore. And in my meditation was the first time I was really able to move away from that person that I was, and to detach and just let myself be without having to defining what I was. Like, do this little exercise with me right now. Say the words, I am. And just feel the emptiness and wholeness that follow. This is what happens when you meditate. You allow yourself to simply be without having to put a definition on it, without having to be someone or something. And that is when your body can really rest, really come into full relaxation. You know, you're no longer attached to those thoughts that are constantly going through your head, telling you who you are, or reminding you of that thing that happened to you, or reminding you of that thing you have to get done. Like, your thoughts can be extremely insidious. So in meditation, you have the opportunity to disconnect from the outside triggers, and also disconnect from the thoughts that keep you trapped to that identity, to that past experience, that past memory, that past person, that past program. That's really what it all comes down to, is that is the program. The program is a compilation of all the beliefs that you accept as true. And why would you believe anything is true? Because you've experienced it in your past. So, and when you meditate, you come fully into the present moment. And in the present moment, the past no longer exists for you. The future no longer exists. There is only right now. Right? And so our body can finally relax. It can finally cross over into that rest and repair. It can finally just be without having to be anything. And in this state, your body will heal for you. You will find yourself so much more disconnected from the experiences of your past. What I really found, and I explain it this way, is, so this was me before I started meditating. And then after 2 months of meditating every single day, this was me. So it's like I had moved into a different state of consciousness. I jumped into a different state of consciousness, and now I still look, you know, it's a continuation of my life, and I still am able to look at the things that happened to me in my past, to look at that past experiences, but I'm not looking at it from the same perspective. I'm not attached to it in the same way. You see, like, this rift, this jump, is because I'm no longer attached to it. I no longer feel identified with it. Like, I'm not that girl anymore. You know, that's not my story anymore. And if you look at it, it's very interesting, because if this is who I currently am, then what past, sorry, look, very loud. But if this is who I currently am now, what's the past progression of that, right? This is looking at the past from a higher level of consciousness. This is now my past timeline, right? And from this past timeline, maybe the events haven't changed. However, my level of consciousness, my perspective, my level of emotional attachment to the events of the past have fundamentally changed. And that's why I feel so much more free, Like, I'm not that girl who got betrayed anymore. Like, that's not my story anymore. And these are the steps that I took that really helped me, like, get to that point. Meditation was so huge, so crucial. Like, I'm telling you, you don't even have to consciously know what's going on within your body. You just have to let it happen. You have to let the intelligence that is within you work through you, right? So I really highly suggest picking up a meditation practice 10 minutes a day. 10 minutes a day. For me, at this point in my life, it is non-negotiable. I have to meditate every day for 10 minutes or I am not myself. 10 minutes a day. Meditate to medicate. That's my new saying. Meditate to medicate. Okay. Now, the next step I want to talk about. There are specific visualization techniques you can practice within your meditation. You don't have to. However, I think that they can be really helpful because they will help you rewire your brain so that when you are not in meditation anymore, you're training yourself to think of this past person or this past experience in a completely different light. Okay, the first visualization technique that really helps me is you can imagine yourself almost putting this experience in a bubble of light. Imagine yourself wrapping it in this bubble of light. Okay, now you're holding the experience and you're looking at it, and let yourself for a moment feel all the emotions that are associated with it. Like, really let the emotion come over you and wash over you. Let it come fully into your awareness, and imagine yourself putting all of those emotions into this bubble of light. Now, from this moment, imagine an angel coming down. An angel coming down and taking this bubble of light from you. And they take this bubble of light for you lovingly, and imagine yourself surrendering it to them. Here, you're giving the situation away, you're giving the pain away, and you're allowing this angel to take care of it for you. And you imagine them flying away, with the bubble of light, and it's kind of an acknowledgement that, I am surrendering to this higher power. I am fully letting myself be guided into the path of forgiveness, and I am not staying attached to this pain anymore. I am letting the angel take it with them, and I'm trusting that the angel is going to do what needs to be done with it and transmute this pain. Right, so that's the first visualization technique that really will help you just to detach from it. Like, to detach from it and know that you are still going to be protected, because the only reason that we really hold on to pain is so that, in our minds, it's like, okay, if I remember how much this hurt, then I'll make sure it never happens again. So I need to continually remember how much it hurt and continually reaffirm to myself how much it hurt. But that is counterintuitive. So what we actually do now is release the hurt. We're saying, here, angel, take this hurt, take this pain from me. And we know that it's going to a safe place. And we know that the angel is going to take care of us. So we can release our attachment while still feeling like we are safe and that we are being taken care of. And that's what true surrender really is. It's releasing all attachment, truly letting go, and knowing that the universe is taking care of us. The next visualization technique, and I just want to say that I got this from Karen Kennel, and I'm going to spell her name out because it's kind of hard to remember. So she's on YouTube, and I highly suggest checking her out. She channels higher consciousness beings, and I find myself really drawn to her messages because at this time in history, especially, how there's so much information going around, so much misinformation going around, that I truly feel that the only source of valid information outside of my own intuition is channeled messages. So I've been listening to a lot of those, and I want to spell her name. So it's KerenQuennel. That's Karen Kennel on YouTube, and the video that she has called The Secret of Life, it's one of the more recent videos. This was the first time that I ever really put the correlation between manifestation and forgiveness together. This is such a good video. You guys should really go and watch this, because this is where I got the next idea that I'm going to share with you, the next visualization technique, which is washing the feet. So you imagine yourself washing the feet of the person or people that hurt you. And while you are washing their feet, feel in your heart love for them, wish them healing, wish them prosperity and abundance. And it might take a while before you're actually able to get through this whole washing of the feet ceremony without feeling any sort of resentment in your heart, but that's okay, because forgiveness is a practice. Forgiveness is something that you can do every single day. In fact, I encourage you to. This is something that I've been doing more often, is every night when I'm falling asleep at night, I will imagine myself doing this foot washing ceremony for all the people who might have annoyed me that day or caused some sort of anger or trigger in me that day. Because it's you're washing the feet of that person, but at the same time, you're washing yourself, you're cleansing yourself of the emotions and the pain that is associated with that person. You cannot do anything for another without also doing it for yourself. So when you send another love and healing, especially the person that has hurt you, when you imagine yourself washing their feet and like just really humbling yourself down to that level, you are also healing yourself. You are also cleansing yourself and washing yourself of those negative emotions. So this is such a good exercise to do, honestly, on a daily basis. So that you can make sure that you're constantly clearing out any sort of annoyances or anger or negativity from your aura, right? Every night before you go to sleep. It's like a fresh start. But keep with it. I know it's not an easy thing, especially if you're really still stuck in that pain, to imagine yourself washing the feet of the person that hurt you. You're probably like, WTF, they don't deserve that. But it's not about deserving, guys. This is about your relationship with you. Everyone else is simply a mirror of you. And if you can forgive that which you find unforgivable, you are going to be so much more empowered, and you're going to feel so much closer to God. You are going to have, you're going to release all those negative attachments that keep you tethered. I have a chipmunk like literally right beside me right now. You're gonna release all those negative attachments that keep you tethered to an identity. And when you release all ideas of identity, all ideas of what you should or shouldn't be, or what's right and what's wrong, that's when you really get close to God, because God is all, God is one. You cannot define God. God is the great I am. It is simply being without having to define that being. That is source energy. It's the place from which all is created. So, really, practice cleansing yourself of attachments, cleansing yourself of negativity, releasing any ideas you have of right or wrong, or he deserves this and she doesn't deserve this, and whatever. Okay. So these visualization techniques are really meant to rewire your brain, because then you're also going to be able to, you're rewiring your brain to see this person in a different light, to see them as someone who, you're sending love to, and you're sending healing to, and you're wishing prosperity, abundance, and you're wishing prosperity and abundance on them. So you're training yourself. Remember, the subconscious cannot tell the difference between what's imagined and what's real. So imagine every night you're washing the feet of this person, your brain is being rewired to think of this person in a much more loving way, and, to change your relationship to this person. So that's a really great way to release resentment and to really come to terms with what's happened. Okay, the last thing that I want to share with you, and this, guys, this is between meditation and these are the top two things that really just expedited my healing journey. And I think a lot of the times when things happen to us that are really painful, and especially when they involve another person, we want to know why. We're like, why? Why would this person ever do this to me? Why would they choose to hurt me like this? And we want a logical explanation. We want to be able to say, okay, this is why they did it. But so much of the time with these kinds of situations, it's like you can't find a reason why. You can't find a logical or good reason why. It's like it's so unexplainable why someone would cause you pain, or hurt you or betray you in the way that they did. And the book that I'm about to share with you, it helped me answer this question of why. And it comes from a place of a higher perspective, right? And, they always say, you always hear the saying, hurt people. And we all know this saying on a logical level. but we don't understand it on an emotional level, and that's why we're constantly searching for this like logical reason why. There's no logical reason why. However, there is an emotional and a spiritual reason why. And this book has really helped me to understand that. So then when I, looked at this person who hurt me, I saw them in a different light. I saw the reason why they had done it to me, not on the physical plane, but on the emotional plane, what had been going on within them that had caused them to act in that way. So the book that I'm going to recommend to you is called, so loud. The book that I'm going to recommend to you is called A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle. This book is not about healing, and it is not about forgiveness. This book is about the ego, and it's about the distortions that the ego does, the games that the ego plays with us, how the ego tries to attach itself to an identity, how the ego tries to attach itself to certain people or experiences, how the ego keeps us from the present moment. And it's specifically the chapter that really ignited my healing from this book talks specifically about a faculty of the ego called the pain body. Now, Eckhart Tolle, he describes the pain body as essentially whenever you're hurt, those emotions, that pain will stay stuck within your energetic field, and it will collect with other pains that you've experienced, and that pain will now be part of your energy. It's called your pain body. And the pain body wants to survive. It has the survival instinct, so that's why it needs more pain to feed on. And so the pain body is that part of us that keeps us self-sabotaging, the part of us that wants to be triggered, that triggers us, that causes us to fight with other people, because it is looking to feed on more pain. It's the part of us that ignites those negative thoughts in our minds. It's like, oh, you haven't suffered that much today. Let me remind you of that really painful thing that you experienced from your childhood. That is the pain body at work. And if we're not careful, the pain body will possess us. If you've ever been in a position where you are so angry that it's like you're just spewing negativity and you can't explain why, and in the back of your mind, you know that this is not you, but you can't stop it, that is the pain body. That's what it truly means to be possessed by the pain body. And I think we've all experienced this on some level, and we've all seen it in another person as well. Imagine every time you've seen someone that you love just morph into a completely different person in front of you, and you wonder, do I even know this person at all? Well, the answer is yes, of course you do, but what you're seeing in front of you is the pain body possessing that person and causing them to act out and causing them to sabotage themselves, causing them to generate drama so that they can feed on the pain that is caused from that drama. So really understanding the work of the ego, the work of the pain body, helped me to come to terms with why the person that hurt me did what they did. And it helped me to understand, hurt people. And when I read this chapter, I was able to look at this person in a different way. And what I mean by that was I imagined their pain body. I saw their pain body in front of me. And I was able to isolate that part of them from the rest of them. And I saw myself hugging their pain body and saying, I love you, I forgive you, because I saw how much pain the pain body was in. I hope that makes sense. But yeah, I want to just read a little passage from this book. It's very short, just so maybe you can get kind of a feel for what I'm talking about. Okay. The usual pattern of thought creating emotion is reversed in the case of the pain body, at least initially. Emotion from the pain body quickly gains control of your thinking, and once your mind has been taken over by the pain body, your thinking becomes negative. The voice in your head will be telling sad, anxious, or angry stories about yourself or your life, about other people, about past, future, or imaginary events. The voice will be blaming, accusing, complaining, imagining. and you are totally identified with whatever the voice says because all its distorted thoughts. Oh, and you are totally identified with whatever the voice says, believe all of its distorted thoughts. At that point, the addiction to unhappiness has set in. He says this a lot. The pain body is an addiction to unhappiness. It is not so much that you cannot stop your train of negative thoughts, but that you don't want to. This is because the pain body at that time is living through you, pretending to be you. And to the pain body, pain is pleasure. So I really think that understanding the pain body is a huge part of forgiveness, because if you're anything like me, you crave understanding. You want to know why. That's the way I operate. It's like, I want to know why. I am a scientist at heart, guys. Like, I'm always trying to logically explain what has happened. And when I came into terms with like this understanding, when I was able to see the ego and the pain body and the way it operates, that's what gave me my like, aha, this is why this happened the way it did. And the pain body works in both parties. I saw the person who had hurt me, their pain body, and I was able to kind of understand what had caused them to act in the way they did. Looking at it from any other perspective, you could not logically explain why they did what they did. But seeing it from this light, from this higher consciousness point of view, it made perfect sense. But it also helped me in my healing journey to understand why I was holding on to those painful emotions so hard, why I was holding on to that memory so hard, why I was holding on to that identity so hard. It's because the pain body wants to suffer. And the second you bring your awareness to it, it no longer has power. That's how it works. Like, the second you become conscious, you become present with it, it has no more power. The ego cannot survive the light of consciousness. It cannot survive the light of presence. So that's why A New Earth, Eckhart Tolle, such a great book. I think everyone honestly needs to read this book. It will really skyrocket you in your spiritual awakening journey. And although it's not about forgiveness specifically, it definitely helped me to find forgiveness. So guys, that's all the tips that I have to share with you. I really hope that you got something valuable from this live. Forgiveness is going to be... It is already, but moving forward in the process that we're in as humanity, as a collective, it's going to be the most important thing that we can do. The most important thing that we can do, and I don't say those words lightly, because we are moving from an old identity to a new identity. We are stepping into a new phase of humanity, and that means having to let go of the pains of the past. It means having to let go of our attachments to things, of our notions of right and wrong, of, oh, this person deserves this and this person doesn't. No. We have to forgive the atrocities that have taken place. We have to forgive the lies that we have been fed. We have to forgive I've been talking a lot on my page, about human trafficking, and I believe we have to forgive the perpetrators of human trafficking as they come out to light. And trust me, and over the coming months, over the coming years, it's only going to become more and more relevant, but we are going to have to forgive the pain that has been caused to the human collective, because if we don't, we're just going to create more of it. We are just going to stay attached to that narrative and to that story, and we will not let ourselves move forward. When you forgive, you allow yourself to become free. It is an acknowledgement that that is not your story anymore, that is not who you are anymore. And when you are not that person anymore, you are free to become whoever you want. So that is the message for you today, is forgiveness is the path to freedom. It is the path to freedom. It is where we can give ourselves the space to create a new future, one that is not defined by the chains, by the emotions, by the attachments to the past. I love you all so, so much, and I wish you healing and love. Thank you.